This is the Aldora Devlog. Let us begin. Following on from yesterday, I've actually been doing a few other different types of things when it comes towards the game as a whole. Jumping into this, let's actually just open this up and have a gander. I did actually finish off the towers. This is something that I was meaning to do in my initial draft. I ended up at the end of this going, oh dang, I actually forgot to do the base, because the elevators will take you up and then you can go inside. So without further ado, let's just jump in and show you how this is all going to go. So let's speed ahead. You go into the massive dome and you can have a nice little gander around. There is a few different types of rooms within here, and if you can't see, well, you definitely can't see, there is half of it actually cordoned off. There is literally no way of getting inside of it unless you literally teleport. That is something for a future date, because that is something I can do for an extended quest to expand the zone's variety as a whole, especially as underneath here there is that massive labyrinth of areas, so you could finish out and go over there. Following on to this, there is a massive tower that's on top of this circle bit, and that leads all the way up to the top. I plan on having an elevator within there as well, and that will take you onto the top ridge. So if we jump back out, I can show you that the elevator is pretty much there. It takes you out, and then you can get onto the first tower, then onto the second, then onto the third, bringing everything up to the top. Now this means that the Skyward is pretty much complete, besides like clutter and NPCs, which also brings me on to yesterday's video as well. When it comes towards size of the docks, I actually increased the size of the docks as well as the ships, and now there is no clipping. It's now the base size that I designed it in the modeler, and they are pretty gigantic. However, I will actually place a note on Kernel stating that I do need to make the flags for the ships, because it can't be that. That's the banner and it's not a flag for a ship. So what we'll do there is we'll do some adjustments and make up the sprites for that. And after testing, you are able to now get on the docks, doesn't matter which person you are. Overall, I'm really enjoying how this looks. This looks amazing, and brings me on to my last thing that I was working on yesterday, which took a lot more time than I would have liked. So we go to this bounds volume, and we can then jump down and have a look. This is because I was working on the base AI for the sprites for the real world. Now currently they're moving backwards with showing different sprite assets and all of that, so that is one thing I do need to do, is just flip them around. However, they are using the same human body, which I cut out of this character right here and redid, and then using the same animations again. This will actually help us with the character creation, as with NPC creation it will work kind of like that, where the character's proportions and everything is layered on top, not as a whole thing like the main character is right now. He is literally a whole sprite, because we want people to be able to change their hair, change their face, and the body is probably going to stay the same, I'll be honest, and we got to think about skin tone and maybe hair color and all these little things, so I need them to be able to actually work in tandem and move at the exact same time. Judging on that, I did do a couple of little things. Now there is a little problem with when it comes towards sprites. Sprites will always show the same thing as it does on the front then the back. So when I was playing in editor, getting these guys to move, which is fairly easy using the AI systems, and what I found was, if the character was moving backwards and he was walking towards like the shops behind him or something, he would be showing obviously his back. But if I ran in front of him and looked at him, he would be still showing the back. Well, I resolved this very easily. Now we have 2D characters with the proportions on both sides. So it does not matter how you look at him, he will always show either his back or his front to you in a 3D world. This was really easily done, and to be honest, I don't know why I didn't think of it earlier. We take the human asset of this and we literally just place two sprites in between, very thinly layered between each other, so they can actually do their specific job. So if I show you that, that's how it looks. Place that back, and all I did was do a little bit of spacing. Now I did this as a spacing of 1 at this moment in time, mainly due in part so I could actually somewhat see it, and that means when I'm actually playing around and trying to work with it at the moment until it's fully done, then we'll try and get it as close as we can possibly get to layer these assets on top of each other, because we've got to add the head and also the hair at this moment in time, and then build up these characters, and then we'll be able to have fully customizable characters already built into the base human model, and then we just decide on that what that NPC is going to look like. So these guys can either self-generate themselves once we're actually complete, and they'll have a unique appearance and they'll just be walking around the city, or failing that, we can use them for custom character creation, and it's just one of those things where it's handy for me and it's going to be good for the player, because they'll be able to customize their own character and have their own story, which is something I really want. I want them to be able to name their character and make them as best as I possibly can. Overall, I'm liking how this is going. I will have to do some armor pieces for it, but we want to get the walking, we want the idol, which we've got, but we want that for the heads and also the hair as well, so that it all works uniformly together. Now I worked out a good way in order to do this, however I do need to somewhat build on top of it to make it actually more viable. I will add more things into this moving forward, and I've already done up quite a few rough sketches of hair and a couple of faces, so it's now trying to get that face to work in both respects. We're using the same layering method with those sprites, so they line up perfectly when they're moving around the world, and then that means we can then build that out that way. And overall that will give us a bit more of a uniform way in order to how these 2D sprites are now going to interact in a 3D world, making them look like a piece of paper. However, they're still going to be living and breathing in this world, just walking around doing their thing. Currently they're a bit headless, but at the end of the day, as long as it works, I'm happy. And aside from all of that, that is everything I have to say for today. I would like to know your thoughts and comments down below. Other than that, have an awesome rest of the day, and I shall see you in the next video, which will be soon.